The latest season of Outer Banks has just been released, and following them finding El Dorado in Season 3, this one was focused on the cliffhanger that was set up during the Season 3 finale. This was the group being approached about finding the hidden lost treasure of Blackbeard. With major revelations about certain characters, multiple different story arcs going on, and an ending where it seemed like Sarah and Pope were done for. Let's jump into the video and break down all that there was to take away from this first part of Season 4. Here is Outer Banks Season 4 Part 1 Ending Explained. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. The Ending Explained. As we approached the ending of the first part of this season, we saw that there were multiple different things at stake for all of the different characters. We had Sarah and Pope inside of the catacombs in Charleston, the place where the living met the dead, and they were ultimately trapped there with it looking like the water was going to rise and drown them. We had Cleo and her quest for revenge that she wanted to get on Lightner for being the person that killed Terrence, somebody that was like a father figure to her. John B was looking inwards and still mourning his father, and also couldn't bring himself to kill Lightner when he was right in front of him. And then there was JJ, who had just found out that Luke wasn't his actual father, and he was a Genred, and that Larissa was his mother. Let's first start by looking at the main story, which was the hidden treasure of Blackbeard. There's been multiple killings that have taken place throughout the first 5 episodes so far. There was the man that was found dead on the beach, Wes Genred, and also Terrence. Wes believed that his family was cursed and had been for some time following his daughter Larissa's death, and he believed that by finding Blackbeard's amulet and the hidden treasure, it would lift the curse that had plagued his family for years, hence why the group were tasked with it. The similarities between the first 2 killings was that strangulation appeared to be the cause of death for the both of them. When looking at Lightner, the very person who seemed to be seeking out the same treasure as what Wes wanted, when he went to kill Cleo on 2 different occasions, he placed his hands around her neck. So to me, it's looking like he's the most likely suspect at the moment. I would also say that there is something suspicious about Wes's son-in-law, as he was quick to throw the group under the bus and place them at the crime scene of Wes's murder without any hesitation whatsoever, leading the police in that direction and away from himself. The curse is something that I definitely don't think is real, but instead, Wes and his family have probably fallen victim to people taking advantage of them, and probably being behind the killings. The son-in-law seems to be enjoying the wealth of being associated with the family, so that could have spurred him on to kill Wes and take it all for himself. He may not have realized that JJ was actually related and entitled to the inheritance over him. With regards to the ending, we saw that because Lightner had Blackbeard's amulet, after translating the engraving, he saw that the hidden treasure was in Charleston. So himself and his gang got to the cemetery around the same time as the OBX crew, and got access through the coffin. Once they were down there, they found the scroll that they were originally looking for, and then climbed back out of the tomb and locked it behind them, meaning that Pope and Sarah, who were both hiding down there, were trapped from both sides and nobody knew where they were. The water was set to rise, and it looked like they could end up drowning down there and being stuck. However, I think it's pretty obvious that they're going to survive. They were originally on the hunt for a blue crown, something that they didn't find, so I imagine they're going to find a way out and eventually go on to look for that. Another major story that was going on throughout this season was with Rafe, Sophia, and Hollis. Hollis was developing properties and businesses on Goat Island and wanted Rafe to contribute some money towards it in order to get a good return on investment. However, it's clear to see that she's playing him and she's exploiting his mindset of being stuck in mourning over his father. Sophia was on board with it, but her conscience eventually kicked in and she wanted Rafe to steer clear of Hollis, but by then it was too late and the papers were signed, and it seemed like Rafe was now set to lose it all. Rafe had the voice of his father going around in his head, highlighting the value of family and just being together. And with that being present, he wanted to bring his family back together as one. It seems like there could be a change in the direction of the character in part 2 of the season, and him looking to repair his relationship with Sarah, but I guess we'll see. I imagine with him losing close to $400,000, he's gonna be in need for some help. The final arc that we've got going on has been centered around JJ. There's always been a sense of a lack of belonging with the character within the show, and that was something that was different this season. During the 18-month time jump that happened in the Season 3 finale, we saw it actually being addressed in the first episode of Season 4. With the group creating their own store, which doubled up as a home with their money from the El Dorado gold, he felt like he finally had a sense of belonging and a purpose. He was pushing things too far on certain occasions though, such as when he paid over 30% of the value of the plot of land where they built their store. And also when he took the final piece of gold and bet it on him winning the race, which he lost. the very thing that led them to need to take up the offer of finding Blackbeard's treasure. Just when JJ found his sense of belonging, it now seems like it's going to be the very thing that he loses, as right at the end we saw that he was being investigated as the prime suspect in the murders due to him sticking up for Kiara and saying that he'd kill anybody that wronged her. And also with us seeing that his father wasn't who he thought he was, and neither was his mother. So it seems like the character is going to spiral within the next part as he looks to find who he is again. It also seems like his life could be set to change due to him coming from a family that has wealth. My review of the season. I thought the first 5 episodes of Season 4 were actually pretty good. I thought having it divided into the different subsections with the multiple arcs was a great way for it to be structured. It just felt like everybody had something going on in this season of the show, which was great, because whenever it cut to a different character, the story wasn't compromised in the slightest. In terms of the hunt for treasure, that's something that I think does feel a bit weaker than Season 3. I'd felt like Season 3 was a real adventure that we got to follow the group on, whereas this one has just felt a little bit more contained and smaller scale. Probably because they're looking for one specific thing. I'm hoping Season 4 Part 2 will make it feel a bit grander in scale though. Outer Banks Season 4 has fallen victim to the new structure that Netflix likes to do in only releasing a handful of episodes and then making us wait just a few weeks for the rest. But what I would say is that it actually felt like this was written with the intention of being a first part, as it had the feeling of a mid-season finale, which I didn't mind. Sometimes it can just feel like a random cut and it doesn't flow that well when it's like that. It just becomes disruptive. I would say that I'm definitely enjoying JJ's conflict and arc the most in this season, and there's a real focus on him compared to usual, so it's made quite a nice change. In terms of the performances, I think the entirety of the cast are doing a really good job in reprising their roles. I'm convinced by all of their performances, and the dynamic is really interesting to see. My one critique of the characters so far would be that we genuinely know nothing about the main villain, something that I feel is a little bit of a shame. I understand there's mystery at the moment, but I would like some clarity when the show returns. I don't know why, but I just have this feeling that this season is lining up with the death of a main character. I'm not sure who it's going to be, but I'm just sensing it. Does anybody else feel that? I'm thinking maybe it could be Rafe. It feels like Rafe's story is coming to a bit of a natural end, so it would line up with the overall plot. Thankfully, we've only got a few weeks to wait until the next part gets released, so it's not too long of a wait. For now, all we can do is theorize about what could potentially happen. So, there you have it, Outer Banks Season 4 ending explained. If you want to see a breakdown on Outer Banks Season 3, then click on the card in the top corner, or alternatively, you can head over to my channel where you'll find many more videos on Outer Banks. And finally, if you'd like to see what I rate the latest movies that don't quite make the cut to getting a dedicated video, then head over to my Letterboxd profile. It's where I rate the latest releases in real time. What did you think of this season? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. As always, thanks for tuning into the video and I'll see you in the next one.